Rain was coming down so hard that night, it felt like the sky had a personal issue with me. You know what I mean? The kind of rain that turns headlights into smears and makes everything feel louder than it should. And there I was on the side of County Road 14, staring into the open hood of my car, thinking of all nights of all places. Yeah. This is how it's gonna go. 3 sentences in, and I'll tell you this up front. I didn't get pulled over because I was dangerous or suspicious or doing anything wrong. I got pulled over because I existed in the wrong body on the wrong road at the wrong time, and 2 men with badges decided that was enough. I wasn't even supposed to be in Rivergate that night. That's the part that still makes me laugh in a bitter way. I had a meeting the next morning, a formality really, but I'd driven in early because that's how I've always done things. Give myself time, stay ahead of the mess, and then my car just quit on me. Hazards blinking like a quiet cry for help while rain soaked through my jacket. I remember checking my watch, 12:18 a.m., thinking I've been late to worse things than this, and popping the hood phone flashlight in my hand, calm, focused, not a hint of trouble in my head. Then the red and blue lights exploded behind me way too close, like the cruiser wanted to make a point, and a voice cut through the rain sharp and young. Step away from the vehicle, I turned slowly, hands open, palms out, already doing the dance we all know too well, and I said, "Officer, my car died. I'm just trying to get it running." I didn't raise my voice, didn't argue, didn't move fast, because I've learned that calm can be the difference between walking away and getting hurt. Didn't matter. I said, "Step away from the vehicle now." The word now wasn't about urgency, it was about power. 2 officers stepped out, one young with that jittery confidence that hasn't been tested yet. The other older, heavier, eyes flat like he'd stopped caring a long time ago. The young one kept his hand hovering near his holster like he wanted a reason, and I could feel it in my chest, that quiet click where you realize, oh, this isn't routine, this is something else. "My name is Marcus Hale," I said slow and clear. "I've got ID in my inside pocket if you'll let me reach for it." The older one didn't even answer, just shined his flashlight straight into my eyes, and the younger one barked, "Hands on the hood, spread 'em." I did it, rain soaking through my suit, the hood warm under my palms, and before I could finish exhaling, he slammed me forward anyway, like compliance offended him. "Easy," I said, and I meant it for both of us. "There's no need for force. I'm unarmed." He leaned in close enough that I could smell the gum on his breath and said, "Shut up. You know why we stopped you. You fit the description. That line right there, it always lands the same way, like you already know where this is headed." I asked. The description of what a man with a broken car, and the older one stepped in, voice tired but sharp. Robbery, a couple miles back, suspect was a black male, tall, dark clothing. I looked down at my suit, rain streaking the fabric, and said, "I'm wearing a 3-piece suit, and I've been here 20 minutes, you can check the engine heat." The younger one laughed, not amused, just mean, and said, "Yeah, sure, probably stole the suit too. Nice watch for someone broken down." He grabbed my wrist, twisted it hard, staring at the old field watch like it owed him money. "Where'd you get this, huh?" "It was a gift," I said, my voice dropping without me trying, from my unit. That's when his eyes lit up like he'd been handed a new toy. "Oh, we got a hero," he said, "stolen valor too. You're stacking charges tonight." The cuffs snapped on tight, intentionally cold metal biting into bone, and in that moment I knew this wasn't about law, it was about permission, about what they felt allowed to do. As they walked me toward the cruiser, the rain slicked the pavement just enough, and the young one hooked my boot. Subtle, practiced, and I went down hard, chin first. A flash of pain, warmth spreading in my mouth as blood mixed with rain. "Whoops," he said, grinning, "slippery out here." The older one chuckled like he'd just seen a rerun. "Get him up," he said, "and take a picture. Captain's gonna love this." A phone came out, flash popped, and there I was, bleeding, cuffed, framed by lights, a souvenir. I looked straight at the young officer and said quietly, "You're making a mistake." He leaned in and whispered, "Only mistake was you coming into my town." The cruiser door slammed, and just like that, I was cargo, thinking not about the pain, but about the letter in my glove box, the one that said, "Effective immediately, welcome to Rivergate, Captain." The station smelled like every station I've ever known, stale coffee, floor wax, fatigue. They paraded me through the back like they'd caught something impressive. The desk sergeant barely looked up, chewing on half a sandwich. "What do we have?" "Robbery suspect," the young one said proudly. "Found him messing with a car. Resisted." I said, "That car is mine." It broke down and my wallet hit the counter unopened. "Save it for the judge," the older one muttered. They booked me fast, sloppy, stripped me of belt laces, tie routine, humiliation, and tossed me into holding cell B with a kid shaking in the corner. From that bench, I could see into the bullpen, see them laughing, passing the photo around, replaying the moment like it was a joke that never got old. I sat there breathing slow, reminding myself I'd been in worse places, that patience isn't weakness, it's leverage. Around 2 in the morning, the air changed. The front doors slammed and a voice boomed through the station demanding answers. I recognized it immediately and yeah, I smiled. Keys fumbled the desk. Sergeant looked like he was about to faint, and when the cell opened, he stammered my name like it burned his tongue. I didn't move right away. I asked if my processing was complete, reminded him I hadn't had my phone call. He talked about misunderstandings, about my car being towed, about everything suddenly being very polite. When I stepped out, my wallet was open on the counter, my badge visible, rank unmistakable. The look on his face told me everything. I asked where the 2 officers were, was told they were back on patrol until 6. Good, I said. He offered to call the mayor. I told him no, told him not to warn those officers, not a word. I wanted their faces unfiltered. At the hotel under harsh bathroom light, I looked at my swollen lip, the bruise blooming on my cheek, and yeah, it hurt. But what hurt more was how familiar it all felt. Growing up, moving through rooms where decisions got made about me before I spoke, I thought I'd outworked that, outserved it. Turns out sometimes, all it takes is a rainy road. I laid out my uniform, carefully polished shoes that didn't need it, not for vanity, but because presentation matters when truth is about to walk into a room. I didn't hide the bruise. I wanted it seen. Roll call the next morning was loud, chaotic, the usual overlap of tired and wired, and one of the officers, the young one from the night before, was reenacting my fall like it was a bar story, laughing boots on the chair. A younger officer nearby looked sick listening to him. The desk sergeant stood by the door, sweating, knowing what was coming. Then the mayor walked in, serious, no small talk, and announced the new commanding officer talked about integrity, trust, cleaning house. When he stepped aside and said my name, the room didn't understand at first. My footsteps hit the tile, steady, deliberate, and then it clicked. I watched the color drain from that officer's face, watched his mouth fall open, watched the older one next to him shrink. I let the silence work. I touched my lip once, just enough. "Good morning," I said. "Seems I've already met a few of you." I walked the aisle like an inspection, stopped right in front of the young officer, close enough that he had to look up. I asked him if there was something on my face. He whispered, "Yes." I asked what it was. He said a cut, a bruise. I asked how he thought I got it, whether I fell, whether I was clumsy, or whether someone sworn to protect and serve put hands on me. He shook. I turned to the older one, talked about 20 years on the job, long enough to know better, old enough to be complicit. Then I faced the room and said the words they needed to hear, that I'd been arrested for existing, mocked, assaulted, caged by men wearing the same uniform, that the badge was heavy, that when you tarnish it, you make every good officer's job harder. I said the boys' club was over, the bullying was over, and if anyone was there to be a predator, they could leave now because I would find them. I called the 2 of them forward, ordered their badges and weapons on my desk, and the sound of that gun being set down was louder than anything else that morning. "You're relieved of duty," I said. "Get out of my precinct." They left without a word. No laughter. No photos. Most people think that's the end of the story. It wasn't. Later that day, I talked to a young officer who'd looked uncomfortable during the bragging, asked her about the culture. She hesitated, then told me about the shakedowns, the missing cash, the routes where people were afraid to complain because backup came late. She chose to help. She pulled dash cam footage. What I saw wasn't just bullying, it was crime-staged robberies, extortion, talk about finding a nice car for cash. And that's when it hit me. If I'd been anyone else, my life could have been destroyed for a debt or a quota. I made a call not to people who move slow, but to people who move when it matters. By that afternoon, federal agents walked into the building with warrants. The same officers who strutted the night before were led in handcuffs through the same doors they'd dragged me through. I stood by the booking desk and told the young one calmly, "I didn't plan for my car to break down, and I didn't plan for you to be a criminal. You did that yourself." I told the sergeant to follow procedure, let them make their phone call, because justice isn't about revenge. It's about ending the cycle. Later, the young officer who helped asked me if it was over. I looked out at the bullpen at the mix of fear and relief and said, "Cleaning up is easy. Building something good is the hard part, and that starts tomorrow." So here's where I leave it with you, because this is the part that matters. That officer who spoke up, some people call her brave, some call her a rat, loyalty to coworkers versus loyalty to the public. Yeah, that debate never goes away. If you were in her shoes, would you have spoken up knowing it might make you a target, or would you have stayed quiet because that's how you survive? And if you've ever seen someone judged, wrong, treated like they didn't belong, what did you do? Drop it in the comments, argue about it, disagree, tell your story. Because stories like this aren't just entertainment, they're mirrors, and sometimes the reflection makes us uncomfortable for a reason.